Hello, and welcome to the Delicious Recipe here on UPRN. And I guess we're on a new night and a new time there. We've gone from, I think, what was it, on Tuesdays, and now we're on Thursdays, now at 7 p.m. Eastern, which is 6 Central. So, what did I call this one there tonight? I called this one Energy Bars. And just random stuff, random thoughts there. And then I think we're going to talk a little bit about superhuman strengths and stuff like that. But also, I think there's energy bars. We can go anywhere with this there, and just the draining energy of life, maybe that too as well. And tonight also I'll have on here, showing up here in a bit, there will be my partner.
I'm
Lorile.
here. I'll be on camera in a minute.
I have Lorile there. She'll be joining us as well.
From the
And
delicious recipe, or no, not from the delicious recipe, from the Interrock. Sorry.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
so used to taking you wherever I go.
Yeah. So a couple of weeks ago, I was off there last week there, and just enjoying a little bit of the summer and with some family and that. And other than that, a couple of weeks ago, I'd posted, or not posted, I'd shown a picture, and I went when I was going live there. This little mini garden that I had in the front of the house, and I was thinking I was growing watermelons there, and it ended up being it was cucumbers. So here's some of the spoils. If you guys are watching, here before I say that there too is that
Explain why you thought
if
it
you're
might be
watching too,
watermelons. You know the difference.
listen there. Okay, hold on. It says I thought it was going to be watermelons and that, but it ended up being it was cucumber plants, and so that's where we've gone through there. But if you are watching live there, you can check us out on YouTube, and it's on the UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials channel on YouTube. And I believe there's also, you can follow us on Facebook as well. And well, there we go.
We're on UFO Paranormal Radio as well on YouTube.
Okay, well, that's the one that I got there showing up here right now. So if you have any questions and stuff like that, we're doing this through StreamYard there, and it takes in from all the different chat rooms and stuff like that, and it puts it all into there. So if you have questions and stuff like that that's going on, I try to monitor the chat as much as I can. And I'll see if I click into here that we're in the chat. Yep. Okay, so that's the one off of the UFO, that one there. But anyways, so if you have any questions, stuff like that, I'll try and see if I can go through the chat room and ask stuff you guys want to talk or whatever and stuff like that. But now back to these cucumbers there that end up growing. And it was really funny about this garden there. And that's the energy of the sun there, growing plants and that. See, I can put energy into a lot of different things. This is where this topic's going to go. So anyway, so these cucumber plants just basically blasted out everything out that was in there. Like I planted, I think, 3 seeds of cucumbers, and I planted like about 5 of pumpkins, and I planted some broccoli, and the only thing that took over was the cucumbers. And I guess they really love that front sun, that morning sun, and it gets a little bit of moisture and stuff like that coming down there. So I had a whole batch that came out about a week and a half ago, where I had some really nice ones. They're all about 6 inches, but then Laura found this one here. This one looks like a truck. And if you're watching along, you can see it. I don't know, I guess I'd say it's about maybe about 7 inches long, maybe about 3 inches in diameter. And another one here, and then some little baby ones. And which is surprising. Now I got like more and more flowers and more stuff all slowly growing up there. I think we're going to have cucumbers coming out the yin yang here pretty soon. I've already given away so much. I gave some to my sister-in-law. I gave some to at work. I gave some to my neighbors and that. And then the more I take off, the more it seems to be growing here. So it's sort of very interesting.
Pickles.
Yes, Del pickles. Yes, that'll be.
And I said I'm going to make some jam too. I think blueberry jam.
Yep. So that's interesting stuff, and that's the part that we were talking about 2 years ago when the pandemic had stopped there, where they were stopping about growing seeds and growing stuff. And I guess that, I don't know, if you want to be thinking about your future and stuff like that, and just sort of subsidize things, and I don't know, putting in a little mini garden. It doesn't even have to be a big, huge area. You can just be a big flower pot in that and grow something that you might be able to use later on. I don't think I'm going to have enough there that I'm going to be able to survive on for a long period of time.
But yeah, but didn't you also plant watermelons? Like that's the point I was trying to make in that area. So you weren't sure what took and what didn't in the beginning.
That's true. Yeah. But that was just a fun thing there about doing gardens and that. And I guess being with just using the energy that's around you, and it doesn't take up a lot of area. That's for sure. Because I think that little spot that I'd shown before there, I think it's like about 3 feet by. It's a triangle, so it's 3 feet by 4 feet by almost about 7 feet or something like that. It's sort of in the front, but all the stuff that
I'm gonna give Zach Man a shout out. I think he's on the UFO Paranormal Radio channel. He's in the chat. So, hey Zach, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, okay. Let me just say a hey there. So it's a different time here now. Now it's really different there because I'm not working nights there and turning around, and so my sleep patterns are all screwed up. But this one worked out. Thank God it wasn't at the earlier time that it was. But so in the news that I've been seeing, we'll just talk a little bit about the news that was there because I follow along with stuff. I'm not following it along with it intently as I have before there, and it's just I guess nothing's changing. Just seems to be getting worse and worse. And now that we have school coming up this year, there's still debates about classrooms and who's got to be if you got the jab or not and stuff like that. But what it was is there was I think it was a teacher in Virginia that this is a story that I posted on my Facebook, and she has resigned. She went and talked to there and said now school boards and the trustee people there are looking at this. She just had a meeting, and she said that her curriculum has been sort of changed to the way that she sort of interpreted it. And you guys can check this out on YouTube or another whatever you want there. This story, and basically saying is that white women with privilege, we have to sort of basically chastise those people there in power. We have to bring up all the other races and put down the white people. And I always think about this whole part about all the talks about even with the BLM and even before that too about inclusiveness and racial harmony and stuff like that, but everything is against white people. It seems to be like this is being talked about in the schools and stuff like that. And I look back to this and think about this about in other countries that are not North American countries. And then when you have immigration that comes into the country, you don't come in there. You come in, if you go into a country, you go and you sort of fall into how the country is. You don't just take over and bring your own stuff in and boot the people that live there out. I don't know. What do you sort of think about that there, Lord?
Well, I agree with you. Like I always used to tease Del, he likes to watch reality TV, and he used to watch The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and get so mad and be yelling at the TV, and I go, "Why are you watching this?" I don't know. I just need to watch it. He liked getting mad because it was so ridiculous. But I remember when they went to Dubai, and some of them that are so used, and there are some that are well off that are privileged, but the thing is they had a hard time conforming to the religious beliefs over there. You have to wear, I believe it's a hijab, you have to be covered, there's no foul language. But I think it makes the point that you're making, that when in Rome, do as the Romans do, basically the old saying, or you conform to the place where you are going. You don't expect everybody to conform to your beliefs and systems, right? You're a guest in the country, and
Yeah.
even if you're immigrating, it's a new country. But we're seeing this in Sweden. There was quite a bit going on just before COVID. They were accepting quite a few refugees from the Middle East, I believe Syria, and they were taking women and children. Well, they weren't checking ages. And there were pictures of these children. I believe they were between 7 and 8, third grade class, and over half of it was filled with men that were coming over. And there was a real problem with the women being raped, gang raped, and they have cameras there. A woman would be swarmed and attacked under a bridge or what have you. And it was because they didn't agree with the so-called, if you will, Western way. Women wear what they want, they go out, they're, different belief systems. And the answer to that, I remember the police making a live announcement. They had colored bracelets in Swedish saying, "Don't attack me." That was their answer. So now what they were having to tell women to do was don't be out at night, don't be unattended unless you have a male with you. So women were having to change their way of life to stay safe over there. So I hear what you're saying. And I saw that video with this teacher, and I'm glad she took a stand. And I thought, my God, but how many teachers could if you're a single mom or a single parent or whatever that may be? But she was right. She didn't like the narrative with the way things were going with the education system. And at the end of her speech, she said, and I urge every one of you parents to seek out the private school system, which I don't think is any better after some of the stuff coming out in New York that was going on. So I don't know what the answer is. Not everybody can homeschool their children.
Yeah, I guess they can because a lot of schools were shut down over
Yeah.
the past 2 years. So there's always a possibility. But that even you saw how that sort of went there with the homeschooling and teaching people on the internet and doing that.
Well,
And this is going to be a question I'm going to see about how this goes later on. And
well, Zach's got comments too.
people can
He's a
comment on this.
teacher.
There, well, let me just finish. There is that you're going to see that with schooling in that is schools actually really a thing? Because there's a lot of money that's federal money and provincial money that's put into schools that run these buildings, that the overhead on them to maintain and uptake and all that stuff there. If it was easier to just do it at home, I know that hurts the part about people that have to work, that you don't have that babysitter that you had all the time, that was constantly from kindergarten up to grade 12. But that's sort of an interesting sort of question to pose.
I don't think they're babysitter. I understand it can help if you're working, because I think you need, if you've got two parents both working nowadays. But the other thing is, a lot of parents have no clue what's going on with school systems. You and I found out, especially in the special education system here in Ontario, what it's like. Zach's a teacher. I know you're probably checking out here. I know he
Yeah.
left the profession, but the other thing is, what the kids are missing is, think about when you grew up. We were still talking this weekend. You were talking about what high school was like. You know, you've got lifelong friends from there, the social aspect. I mean, that's a big part of growing up, is learning
Mhm.
how to behave in society, interact with society, get along with peers, do those kind of things. That's missing if we don't have schools anymore and kids can get together.
Okay, and now here comes, this is the next part of this deals with schooling too as well. And I just saw this morning when I got home from work, and I believe it is New Jersey. And what they've done is they've removed the minimum standards for reading, writing, and arithmetic. And this goes into this whole social justice and this whole uh, part about
Because it's this.
race. They're bringing race back into it again. They're that minorities and people of color, and then they Latins, blacks, and not they didn't mention or did they mention Asians? They think
I'm sure
Mexican,
they did.
Latinx, and all this stuff there. They mentioned all these other non-white races that they can't conform to the standards that were at school for reading and writing and arithmetic. So they're removing the minimum standards now. So you don't, because this comes in this whole part of this class system that that everybody gets a trophy. You don't strive to be the best of anything. And this is a really sad sort of thing. And we've talked about this, and I'll let you comment on this as well, is that when it comes down to important things, do you want to have a doctor that only knows 40% of the material, or knows 100% of the material, and you want to be able to see that he was tested, that he does know that 100% of the material? It comes into any trade there too. Do you want somebody that's working at the fried chicken place that puts raw chicken above the cooked chicken and is dripping down there and people get sick? There's just if people can't follow common sense, and where their standard is, that they understand information. And I think reading, writing, and arithmetic is important in everyday life. But you want to know that people are able to function in society, that are going to be going out into jobs that affect the populace. What do you think about that one there? What New Jersey's doing?
Well, I don't agree with it. I was going to add, Zach had commented, because I know he was in the education system. He was a teacher. He said if he hadn't left the field, he'd be working. He had left within 2 minutes. And I hear you, Zach. But I agree with you. And the other thing is too, and you've heard me say this now, I believe, I'm having a problem. We discussed this a lot off air. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a hater. I'm a woman myself. But this narrative of that women can do everything that men can do, everything, and you can no longer call. I'm going to get back to your comment about education. You can no longer call a mother a mother. It has to be what is it, a birth person, I think. You can't have breastfeeding, you have to have chest feeding. They're changing the whole narrative here of what humanity is. And I agree with you because we've had this conversation as well off air. And I've said, you guys think about this. You're in a burning building and maybe you're a larger person, maybe you're not. But do you want a little tiny person that hasn't passed any of the standards and can't lift anything, and your life needs saving? You want somebody that is in shape, that is able to lift that kind of weight, is able to do that. Doesn't matter what it is in life, but then you hear this narrative that everything eventually is going to be AI and they're not going to have a need for all of this. So this is why this is sort of happening. I don't agree with it. The other thing I wanted to make a huge point is how important history is. Now, history in the school system, as we've learned, we're not learning the truth, but the correct history. Those are, what, there's many things that I learned in school. We've talked again about this off air, including university. I think where the real life learning happens is when you're on the job and you're in the real life scenario. But we've got this big joke out there about so-called millennials. I hate that term, but they say these children are coddled, they don't have an idea about what real life is. And I get it because it started with my kids, I think, when they were little, was everybody's a winner. And I've never agreed with that, because where is the impetus to strive to do your best, to improve, to learn from mistakes, to move forward and keep, you know what I mean? Everybody's a winner, it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to get a trophy. That's not real life. So even helicopter parenting, I know that's a big pet peeve of yours, but if you don't let your child experience and fail sometimes, they get out in the real world and they're not going to be able to cope, because that's not what life is like.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I think we've become physically, emotionally dependent on technology here, and that's the thing, right? Is that
No handwriting anymore, no cursive writing.
right? Yeah, this is the even the English language, how people talk on their cell phones and text message there has been so simplified, and like there's a whole new lexicon that's involved in that. Like emojis were never a thing when I grew up there, except like people put a little happy face above their eye, like I remember a heart above their eye or something like that when they were spelling their name or something like that. But other than that, you got a sticker on your test if you did he got 14 out of 15 or 15 out of 15 or a gold star. This whole elimination of rating and rewarding for doing well is sort of I think that is so important, and
Well,
removing that exactly what you said there, it allows people to just
cool.
show up and not strive for anything
Well,
better.
Inner Peace Healing said something that I'd love for you to comment. I didn't mean to cut you off, but they had said, and welcome Inner Peace Healing. Nice to have you here. I think that was Shadow Design Beaver. I'm pretty sure, but I could be wrong. It says, not to mention you have to work hard to fail a grade in school now. Now we're in Canada and Ontario.
It can't
You
fail.
know, go ahead and tell people what happens in school here, that with failing in school.
Yeah, well, you can't fail now.
Mhm.
Is that you have to just push them forward. See, before Laura, I used to go out with a teacher, and there,
Before Laura.
yes, and she taught here in town and here in Northern Ontario, and then down in Southern Ontario around Toronto area,
Yeah.
And they were mandated. They were told is because there was such a large amount. See, the unions were all complaining about the size of classrooms and stuff like that. So you cannot fail people because you need them to move forward. Because if you have the people that failed and the people that are coming up, now the classroom size is bigger, right? And they were complaining about the amount of students for teaching and stuff like that. So no one gets left behind. That they sort of use that sort of slogan, but nobody fails. So even whatever happens, you don't feel anything. Go on to the next thing. And this has been always a problem that was talked about in other schools, and they were there was actually movies about this, Stand and Deliver and stuff like that. If you remember that one back, I think it was in the 80s, and that about inner city schools where they didn't have the funding, didn't have the manpower to teach teach students that were there. And you would say that they were the non-white areas of there, the lower places, and people would go all the way through school. A lot of sports people too. They were good at sports, so a lot of these athletes never learned how to read and write and stuff like that.
I'm reading this comment. It's quite funny. So it is.
Okay.
This isn't Shadow Designs, and I apologize. Inner Peace Healing. They said you got to hear this comment. They said where they are. Where are we here? Zach said they do that here too. If kid fails a grade, they hold them back here and just keep pushing throughout the system. No, they don't hold them back here. You could get zero out of whatever, Zach, and you just go on to the next grade. But this is funny with Inner Peace Healing. Oh, it is Shady D. I thought so. Okay, Shady D wrote, and she's now Inner Peace Healing on here. She says, no cursive writing eliminates so many careers. Imagine now if someone leaves a ransom note when they kidnap someone. Who are the handwriting analysts now, which used to write, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, we've seen almost the death of print media there, basically with newspapers and magazines and stuff like that, where everything you can get now on your phone. And we've talked about this before about having a solar storm or a EMP strike and stuff like that, where you don't have your use of electronics anymore. How are you going to write a note to somebody? like she said there,
somebody
write down, read a book, read stuff. I know people do read, but read in normal language. But even the part about this, even arithmetic, adding up and doing just even geometry, you don't even have to get into it, algebra and calculus and stuff like that, but just not showing standards for these things is so doing conversions between US gallon and a Canadian gallon. They're totally two different measurements there, or liters into US into Canadian gallon. I think one's 3.78, one's 3.2. No, the other one's 3.2 something, 28, somewhere around there. I'd have to go and check out. I haven't dealt with conversions in liquids there for quite a while, but it's just these are certain little skills. Like it's even in the most menial of jobs that, well, people that would say would be menial, like what I'm doing there right now. I'm working nights in a grocery store doing stuff, but you have to be able to count. You have to be able to read codes. You have to be able to follow a list of orders, read your paycheck. That's the most important. Understand the taxes that are taken off on your paycheck.
Yeah, but I saw a guy on YouTube. He's in his very, very, very early 20s, and he's a more popular channel. It's kind of a drama alert type channel. And he gets a gift from people. They'll send it in to him. When you get bigger, people are so kind, and they do things like that. I have watched numerous times when somebody has handwritten him a note and he can't read it. He'll say, I'm so sorry. I cannot read cursive. I'm so sorry. I will try and decipher it. Or even the fact that sorry, I didn't mean to jump in on you there, but we used to get somebody that would come to our house many times to help out with our youngest son who has severe autism. And this mom had a 13-year-old, this is quite a few years ago, actually. It's probably about 8 years, maybe 8 years ago. And she kept saying to her daughter, honey, you're going to need to learn how to cursive write. No, I don't. I've got the computer. No, honey, there's still things you're going to have to learn to sign your name for. No, I'll be fine. So they were crossing the border because we're only about 35 minutes from the Minnesota border here. Well, they're crossing over, and because she was at that age where they're watching 13, making sure the child that is with the so-called parent is the actual parent. And so this kid had to sign her name to say, yes, this is my mother. She couldn't sign her name. They had to turn around and go back to Thunder Bay because she couldn't sign her name. Mm-hmm.
That's a crazy story. But this even goes into the whole topic about the energy and stuff like that. Is that I'm not sure. I'm not going to say this is most people, or most kids, or most the kids growing up here. Is that the energy expended into do something that's not technology added onto there seems to be the way things go. I've noticed this at work. I've noticed this during the daytime, that every adolescent that I've seen not every, I'll say most, because I like to generalize, most are connected to some sort of device and are texting on this device, and they're so wired in. I guess that's the term that would be, they're wired in. And I always say is that I'd always be interested to see what skills they could do when you took away that phone, that crack, that heroin phone that's injected or plugged into them wirelessly into their body. And it's a crazy thing. Like, how many devices do you think that you have, Laura?
I have quite a few. I do want to just pause for a second, give Michelle Pratt a shout out. She's from Australia. Happy birthday, Michelle. She's almost my birthday twin. She
Happy
actually
birthday.
found our channel, our network, I think quite by surprise one night, and she's kind of become a friend. Not kind of, she has become a friend. So yeah, I found out her birthday's one day before mine. Um, how many devices do I have? Now, you guys, I will be honest with you. I never even turned on a computer till probably about 2000, because my youngest was about 2 years old. I didn't have a clue how to turn it on, but I am a bit of a techie person. Like, I got an iPhone. I won it a year before they came to Canada. So I used to do a podcast with three guys across Canada. We teach people about tech and what have you. So I have quite a few, like right here in this bedroom. I have every iPhone I've ever had. I have that because I use them as, usually when they're charged. I didn't get a chance to charge them, but I'll use it as an alternative when I'm live or we're doing this to see comments. I don't know, probably three tablets. I've got a laptop. I've got an iPad. I have an e-reader. But you know what, for my age though, and we've talked about this too, a lot of people our age, I'd say from about 40 on up, we've been, I think, the most we've had to adapt. We went from a black and white TV to maybe two channels to where we are today. But I find a lot of people our age maybe don't necessarily use not everybody, but don't use, say, their phones that they have. They'll get the latest and best phone out there and they use it just as a phone. And we know people like that, Del, who it's all about having, the biggest and best device out there, whether it's iPhone or what. And it's such a shame because they don't use any of the functions. Maybe they don't know. I'm not sure. And I'm not saying everybody is that way. I'm not trying to paint everybody with that brush, but and again, then you look at the EMF, even that's coming off of these devices. Zach made a good comment. He said the reason why he believes they've taken cursive away, it's just one better way to control the people in the future.
Yeah, well, this is a point that was actually brought out on several different podcasts that I've watched over the past couple of weeks. Is that besides this whole part, the conspiracy there about removing the middle class there, but also with dealing with schools, is to dumb down the populace so that they just allow government to babysit them. And this is like I've said this many times. Government is not supposed to be the parent. Government should take care of the infrastructure, take care of international trade. They should not be dictating what you do in your home, what you can do.
They should be doing the will of the people that elected them.
Right. But the thing is, so is that we've even had problems there now. And if you look at that, like non-elected officials, like people like CDC, who doctors that fill positions into that, non-elected people making rules that we've seen this over the past almost 2 years coming up here now, that have gone and mandated or gave their suggestions with this, and then these have come into regulations and laws. Like, this is unbelievable how freedom has been taken away here in Canada, and I'm not sure how much it's been in the States. I know I seem to hear a lot of different things. It goes into state by state, lower, east, west, north in there, but of how things are sort of being done. But in Canada, it's unbelievably crazy. We're getting a little bit of a provincial separation going on there now, where like I think it was Alberta has sort of changed things, going away from these federal mandates and these I don't know what it is that's going on. I do. I'm just saying there. I'm just so hopefully that people are starting to wake up and look at what these elected officials have been doing and what they've done to the rest of the people there. Just don't look inside their own little circle, but look a little bit wider out there to see what these decisions have been made. These people were not saviors. They became regime monster monarchy uh, people, basically sitting down, letting down laws and stuff like that under the fear that they wouldn't be reelected again. But they went way haywire. It's been there's a lot of things that could have been way different. But people say hindsight is 2020. But you know what? During this whole time, there was a lot of pushback saying you shouldn't be doing this, you can't be doing this, and there's a huge propaganda machine that's out there called the media, and and pushing these agendas, and I cannot believe any of these numbers anymore are real. Because they've gone all over the map on things. This is just getting more and more crazy. And then they're going and says, "Oh, it's getting worse and worse and worse as it goes on." Where it was like not supposed to be 2 weeks here, 2 months, 100 days, and now we're into 18 months, coming up to 2 years.
Yeah, but you know what? The other thing I've noticed that is very strange. Michelle's from Australia. That's crazy over there. UK, crazy over there. Our politics and the way our judicial system set up is very similar, being under the Queen or at one time from the Queen. France is going through crazy stuff. Greece, we're just not hearing about it, and we're not seeing. I know you're aware of it. Most people may or may not. Inner peace healing, I'm going to address you. I went to look, my phone died because I didn't have it charged. I have not been on social media today. You can ask Del. And last night I wasn't either. I have about probably 30 messages to go through, but I will definitely, she sent me a video. She said, did you have a chance to see it? She said, be prepared to have yet another part of your mind blown. Thank you. And Michelle Pratt, you've got a good point. I cannot believe the people letting this happen. And you know what? I think that that's the scary part. But you can only bring a horse to water, right? You can't make them drink. And I don't think you're going to be able to. It's, one day, and I think we're going to be at that point sometime, hopefully within this year. I think the world is going to wake up, whether you want to wake up or not. And they're going to be angry. They're going to be real angry. I think we're starting to see it now. There's an organization called the Mama Bears, and they're going around the U.S. They're on a tour right now, waking up parents about what's going on in the school system. But you really can't separate it. Like, it's such a well-rounded, holistic approach from, and they've had years, those that are doing this, to think about this. I'm trying not to go into conspiracy. I know you don't want to go there, but they've thought about it from, you really can't separate one from the other is what I'm saying. I mean, I've even been talking to you about this, and I am not racist. I am LGBTQ, AI plus, whatever you want to say. I support it. My son is gay. He's a proponent of it. He's an activist for them. But what I'm seeing is the over sexualization of children. There was a big thing in the New York private school teaching 5 and 6-year-olds about masturbation with a cartoon. It's a great thing and why you should be doing it. Apparently, it was also in one of the private high schools again in New York, teaching 14, 15, 16-year-olds and sex eds all about basically promiscuity. Let's just say, we'll call it sodomy. They'll be more radio friendly, and that's a wonderful, great thing. Same as pedophilia, that should be an accepted form of sexuality. We're seeing that movement growing around the world, and real demasculination, I find, of men. I've been seeing that as well. So we're getting hit with a multi-pronged approach here, and I don't know what the answer is, but I'm hoping, when we were talking to Joe, our producer and the owner of UPRN before, I think people are going to have to rise up. Like I said, I think the world is eventually going to wake up, and a good number of people are going to say, where was I when this was all happening? Why didn't I find out about this? And it's always been there, right?
Yeah, well, this is the thing I mentioned while we were watching this before, because we have this little Fire Stick, so we get all these different free live TV streaming services and stuff like that. And so we cut the cable a long time ago.
Yeah.
And the thing is, though, is that a lot of these stations, some of them come out like Pluto TV. I think that's out of like New Jersey, East Coast stuff and that.
Yeah.
But we're noticing on a lot of the commercials is they've removed all the white people out of there. They're less than 1% in the commercials, and if they are there, they play the buffoon. And you see this even on TV shows we've been watching there. We were watching that where they had showed that the male character is the weak weak wristed buffoony stupid person in there, and the colored white women, or even if there is a white woman, just whatever color it is there, the females are all the smartest and most domineering and the strongest of anything that's on there. And I think we just start having this sort of this warped woke reality. The SJW cancel culture people and have pushed this narrative to the far end. And you know what? I'm almost at the point they're saying there right now. As I says, you know what? Go ahead, do all the hard jobs, do all the stuff that were done before. Go down in the mine, go climb up that building, put in the steel, go do that, pick up that 150-pound ratchet and torque that down to whatever. Do all the other jobs. It says if that's what you think, that you go fight the wars, go there, go frontline, do it all.
Well, there are women that do that, but I know.
And I'm saying, I said there is some, but it says all the ones that are complaining about this, that are pushing this movement, you go do the other jobs. See, they don't want to do that part. They want to be on their computer and pointing and typing in or texting in or making these blobs on their computer. They say this is the way society should be. This whole part there, but they're not looking at, you know what, to run something to. This is what I would. I put this part there. It says, you know what? If you think that it's so easy to do things and to run society and do whatever, it says, you know what? Here, go out in the bush, build yourself your own home, build anything that you have there, farm, do all this stuff there, and see how easy it is. And then you're saying, well, I need help. Well, get one of these other people that run on their cell phone, that know how to text and run on a computer and stuff like that. Have them make the medicine, have them go and build the house and stuff like that. See, this is the thing. We've gone so far away from personalized skills, and I've talked about this many, many times. I says I think skills trades is one of the best things to go into. You can make a lot of money in skilled trades, whatever it is there. But we've gone so far away from this learning how to do things for ourselves, working with our hands, putting in some elbow grease and lifting stuff on our shoulders, to typing on a computer. Like I do this talking on a screen for 1 hour, maybe 2 or 3 hours a week, if that. But I'm not on it 100 hours or whatever, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's other things that I got to do, that I have to actually
me too.
Use my body and stuff like that and do actual physical work. And I think that a large majority of people think that they all go to school and they go in there and everybody's going to be the CEO of a company where they're going to have robots run everything, or the lesser class do all the menial tasks. And that's not reality.
I think what
far from reality.
My thing is, though, is instead of appreciating, and I know this is going to open a huge can of worms. I'm not pointing a finger at anybody. You believe this narrative, that's great. There are only two sexes, male and female. Then you hear all these different genders, 57 different genders. You go, if that's what you believe, you know what, you do you, I'll do me. But I think we need to appreciate the beauty in the fact there are things that women can do that men can't, and there are things that men can do that women can't. And I think it's not being racist, it's not being sexist, it's just reality. And the thing is to no longer have the word mother. I'm having a problem with that, that it's now birth person. And the other thing is, and this is a huge one we talk about, Del, off air, is you're raising all these little girls, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I think you have to have a healthy dose of reality that anything a man can do, you can do, and we've seen it. How many girls have we seen on camera haul off some 6'5", 250-pound muscle-bound guy and start beating the crap out of him. And finally, when he's had enough, and he gives her one push or a smack back, you hit me. You can't hit me. I'm a woman. You can't have the best of both worlds. And I'm not saying I condone violence. I'm not saying I know there are women who are beaten and men. That's not what I'm talking about. But I think if you are going to raise your hand to somebody, and I don't care what sex you are, nobody as an adult should be raising their hands to anybody. I mean, if you got to defend yourself, yes. But just because you don't like what somebody said or whatever, you think that you can do whatever you want. And we're seeing this. What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. This is why I'm bringing back the word retarded.
I
Okay,
like that word.
the word retarded. The verb meaning means delay or hold
Happy
back in
birthday.
terms of progress or development. And that's what I'm saying there. We've gone in a part where we've actually gone into a regression of progress, I think, in the whole part of where this technology moving towards this technocracy thing where we've actually our development physically and mentally has been retarded. We depend on our cell phones and that they give us all our information. Wikipedia, this is the thing that a lot of people don't know. Wikipedia is a edited resource material.
Anybody can edit it.
Yeah, you can go in there. I can write a word in there, write it in there, and I can edit whatever it is. I can go into any part in there. Some of them are blocked, but for the most part, I can edit any part of the line of text in there. And then somebody that pulls it up an hour after I've edited it there will go, oh, that's what it means. And then they'll believe that is truth, right? That's the really interesting thing. People don't understand when you're getting resource material. That's why I say I do more research and more reading than I did in school. And that's for truth. I like no in school I like geography, I like math, I like gym. I didn't do music because I was doing music extracurricularly, whatever, while I was at school and that, so I didn't take it there. But those are things I did. I didn't care for reading. I really hated reading. I hated giving the books. I hated reading Shakespeare. I hated doing all that stuff. That just really drove me nuts, and that we just spent a whole year. And that's
ever.
that really turned me off of reading and reading books. It did. The English, like the curriculum that was for the English, really turned me off of that. There was, and I hate slowness. I'm a very person that hates slowness too. that just drives me nuts. Like doing tests and stuff like that. I remember doing my ironworker to get my seal for that after my apprenticeship to go into my journeyman's papers. And they gave you 3 hours, but you could request an extra 2 more hours if you had a learning disability, which is all fine. 100 questions, and you got 103 hours to do it. I was done in 20 minutes. And then I spent another 2 more minutes going through to make sure I didn't screw up on the multiple choice things, that everything was lined up. And I hand in the test to the girl. Says, "Are you done? Are you quitting?" I says, "No, I finished." She goes, "What? You're finished?" I says, "Well, if you know the material, that's the whole thing. You learn, you study on it. It doesn't take that long." And there's people I seen there that they had to ask for extra time at the end. I was like, holy jumping! If I'm done in 20 minutes and you're doing the same job as me and it's taking you 3 hours and you failed, like, oh my God, that's the whole thing. Like, I think in some parts their school is good. I think that there's a lot of debate that can be given to curriculum that's in the school and what's being taught now. Like exactly what you said, you don't need to teach kindergarten and grade ones there about masturbation and about stuff like that. That's wrong. Like, I don't think we even got sex ed in school till like grade 7, and that's
Well,
where
there's a new reality show over in the Netherlands where, remember when we found that show out of the UK, and it was people disrobed and they were it was a dating show. Well, they're doing this with little kids. And they couldn't understand what there was public outrage, even over in the Netherlands, which is, pretty progressive with a lot of stuff. But and I've seen the clip, and these kids' faces, and I was just like, you've got to be joking me. You don't have something better for curriculum, but trying to normalize. Children aren't thinking about sex like little kids. Like, they're not. Why are you doing this? Except that they're trying to normalize this, and like there's movements out there. I mean, look at the FBI. Was it the FBI that released or somebody released it and the FBI declassified it. The symbols for pedophilia, when you guys, we look at logos. I mean, the Catholic Church, like everywhere you look, those symbols are everywhere. They just look like they're normal. And we had no idea that that's what these things meant. Like, I don't understand. Like I said, I just don't get it. Like, why are you doing this to little kids? They got lots of years to think about that. I'll tell you, sex, not when you're a little kid. Your work is play.
Yeah. Well, that was a big part there because like I said, there with my ex-girlfriend there, she'd done this uh, school. She taught at a school that was called Mookie Bomb, and it dealt with kids with learning disabilities like autism, just a whole bunch, the whole gamut of learning disabilities. But and then my mom's cousin, she, I'm not sure she was taught there or she was like a part of the upper board vice principal, something like that, Montessori schools.
Yeah.
And Mookie Baum sort of gave the a different learning things for special needs, say they're learning disabled or special needs or whatever, and they taught them in a way that they'd be able to cope in society, learn basic skills, stuff that you should be learning in regular school about counting, reading, writing, arithmetic, stuff like that. And then Montessori school was sort of different, and the way that I sort of understood it was sort of a free form learning format that wasn't.
I agree with Montessori, actually. Your children's learning to their interests. I really looked at it when my kids went to school. What I didn't like, though, was the control. Your children weren't allowed to wear anything with a logo on it. I can see why, but I mean,
that was like Catholic school, right? Catholic school, you had to wear uniforms, right?
My boys did. I didn't have to, no.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the other ones there, that was a big thing there. If you ever watched the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, they had to wear their uniforms went to school. Girls in skirts, boys in pants, the suit jacket with the tie. But that was in a lot of them there. But the thing is, was that there was a whole, when you get into the schools, public schools and the private schools, away from like the Mookie Bombs and the Montessoris and homeschooling and that, is that there's this rigid curriculum that's there that has to be met and stuff like that. But when I went to school, there was a whole thing of a grading system, and we had I think there was tests that went on there, all this that you'd find out where you sort of fit in the level of what you were learning, and then schools were rated on what that was, right? If they have like this area where all the kids in the school are testing less than 60% of curriculum, then that's looked into, right? There's a gauging process there to make sure that people are learning. And now this is going back to that first part there about now they're removing test scores and
they have standardized testing here, which is a joke because 2 months before the teacher goes over the whole curriculum. There
you go. Interpiece just said there, young kids need to learn about bugs and mud. That's right. They need to go and swallow more dirt, right? That build up their immune system. That's a good one.
No, but what I was trying to say, we have so-called standardized testing here, but the joke is the teacher spends 2 to 3 months before the test in third grade, 7th grade, and 10th grade, and there's a literacy test as well, but that's all they teach. So of course they're going to do okay on the test because that's all you'd ram it into their heads about what they're going to have on the test. So how is it really a good measure of what children have learned?
Right. Well, that's the thing there. It's like, I've seen this many times. I've said this over the years since I've been on the radio. You have young kids, they ask questions, they go to school, they are told what the questions and the answers are. They get out of school, they no longer ask questions. And that's what's lacking in society there today. And I've been noticing this a lot on, even on some news, Fox News and stuff like that, is that this question is being out there is that people, I've actually just seen this a couple times, there's that people need to start asking questions more and start demanding answers to the questions that are there.
Based on what, and I've been saying this on my show, if you can't answer the question why, or based on what, you need to dig deeper.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly right. Is that's a lot of people there. They don't ask the questions. They don't because a lot of them aren't even aware of what's going on. They just accept because they've been learned government is your parent that is in the best interest for you. They know they have all the experts there ready to do, but these are all bought and paid for.
We're
Government,
here for you.
what? High government is only in it for themselves. They don't care about you. They don't care about your area. They care about their house,
Numbers.
Arthur's Vineyard, or or whatever in Muskoka or whatever. Their $1 million deals to pull up their stuff. Government doesn't give a crap about you at all. And if you think that it does, then you've
I've got some
believed the
farmland. I've
lie.
got some farmland over in the Antarctic. I'm gonna sell you.
Yeah.
Okay, dog, don't do that. Dog, stop. Sorry.
Yes, but that's the thing there. I think that's the whole part about. I don't know this. I guess this went away from sort of energy bars, but I guess in a way it's sort of it
Obviously,
keeps
people want
with
to talk
because I think
about
the
it.
energy expended into doing stuff for yourself and the energy to go and do the research on that's a part of it there too. But I don't know. I think a lot of people are going to find themselves lost here in a while there. That when things get slowly taken away, and that's the way it's going to be going there. Now we're looking at more segregation going on here. That now that with this with the jab or not jabbed, what you can and can't do. And where, if you remember this back at the beginning, here in Canada, the government says we will not force this shot on you. We will not do this. We won't. Everything will be whatever. And then they're saying, oh well, yeah. Well, now we're going to restrict what you can do. And know what? Now we're going to monitor what you can do. And now we're going to monitor who's around you, what you're doing. Now we're going to do this. You see how this slowly went there. And I see this a lot of times there. As soon as government takes power of a certain part of your life and restricts you for something, you never ever get it back. The only way to get it back is to have a huge revolt where you go and burn it all down and you restart again. Have a big huge firehouse sale and shut down all the systems and you rebuild again. And who knows, maybe there needs to be a huge alien attack that destroys everything and the world rebuilds. Maybe this whole thing about getting everybody injected, it wipes out the whole population, that they're not able to give kids again there in the next 100 years, and only the ones that never got this, the ones that are the elite, and they all live together in harmony in 100 years. Who knows? Nobody knows what the agenda is. We sort of think we know what the agenda is. It's a part about eugenics, but
he said, "Say bye, Del."
what's
Joe,
that?
as time's up, he said, "Say bye."
Oh, did he? Okay, well, we're at the end of our show. Maybe that's the thing. They're getting to more stuff there. So, anyways, new night, new time. Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 6 Central. This is Delicious Recipe. Lorile, see where you can find them.
You can find me very quickly on Monday nights on the Angel Rock, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can get a hold of me on facebook.com/the Angel Rock if you ever want to book a reading or anything like that. Thanks, guys, for the great discussion tonight. Thanks for being here. Thanks for having me, Del.
Yep, thanks for having us in the chat there, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks for being here. Pickle Rick out.